Hello and welcome back to Assetto Corsa for yet another video on the Nordschleife challenge. Thank you very much for joining me in today's video, and today we are taking out one of the most famous Japanese cars to ever be released, I guess, across the world, because obviously there are some cars that were only released in Japan and that then had to be imported in. This is the Mark IV Toyota Supra, not the new BMW based Toyota Supra, but the Mark IV, a proper full-on Toyota. Now somebody in the comments box is probably going to correct me and say no, that wasn't actually a Toyota, it had parts from Nissan and this, that and the other, but as far as I'm concerned, this is a full-blown Toyota. Very well-known car, and of course it was one of those cars that competed against the Subaru Impreza, against the Mitsubishi GTO, against the Mitsubishi Lancer as well, the 276 era cars, the Skyline R33 and R34, the Mazda FC and FD, although primarily I think just the FD, as well as a number of other cars. I'm sure I'm missing a couple when I've just mentioned those. So what does this car have? Well, it is a front-engined rear-wheel drive car, manual transmission, 5 gears, engine produces 326 brake horsepower with the turbo, 280 without the turbo. Now, I'm a little bit confused as to which version we have in Assetto Corsa. I can only think that this is the turbo version because it says turbo on the back of the car, so it should be 326 brake horsepower. That being said, if this is the full Japanese version of the car, the turbo was different. They had a ceramic turbo as opposed to a steel turbo, and that turbo produced less power, therefore, or less boost should I say, therefore I think it's had less power. But there's a little bit of technical inconsistencies here on the Assetto Corsa car that we have. So I'm saying 326 brake horsepower at 5,600 RPM, or 325 pound-feet of torque, or 441 Newton meters at 4,800 RPM. As I said, manual transmission to the rear wheels, 5-speed manual transmission. Total speed about 160-ish miles per hour. Again, there are some reports that say 155, some that say 161, 162. I'm going to say 160 miles per hour, 0 to 60, 5 seconds. Wheels on this car, front 235/45 R17s, nice size wheels there, and on the rear, obviously since it is a rear wheel drive car, wider rear tyres at 255/40 R17, not as wide as I thought they would be. I thought there might be 265s on this car with 326 brake horsepower. However, 255s should do the trick. Mass of this car, 1,585 kilograms, or roughly 4,500 pounds. So what am I thinking that this car is going to do? Because I think I've covered everything on this. As I said, it is turbocharged. I think that this car is going to, well, it has an inline-6 engine, of course, the famous 2JZ, in this case the GTE, not the GE version of the engine. It's a fairly heavy engine, inline-6, fairly heavy. The front, I'm just looking at where the engine is mounted, rear-wheel drive, weight distribution. I'm thinking this car is going to have some oversteer, obviously on power, but I think that there is going to be off-power understeer on this car, and that is something that I'm going to have to figure out. So, without further ado, let's quickly bring up the lap times. Now, I have brought up page 2. The reason I've brought up page 2 is because I think the car is probably going to slip in somewhere around here. You can see in 16th place, we have the RX-7 FD. Spirit R, so it is the most powerful version of that. So I think maybe it will slip in around the Mustang territory, maybe the 370Z Nismo. On the next page, at the top of the next page, there is the R34 with an 8 minutes 26. So I'm expecting, I think I could get more out of that R34, so I'm expecting an 8 minutes, should we say an 8 minutes 20 roughly? That is my thinking. So if you would like to leave it in the comments box right now, leave a comment saying what you think this car is going to get. As usual, I'm going to be doing 2 laps on Patreon where I'm practicing with this car, and then what you see next after the intro is going to be a couple of laps of me really trying to get the maximum out of the car, 2 or 3 laps, and we'll see from there where we go. So make sure you stay tuned and enjoy. Alright, here we go. Let's see what we're capable of doing here. So, a couple of things to note about this car immediately. First off, it seems like Kunos have put 6 gears in this car, which is, as far as I'm aware, that is not the correct number of gears for this car. I have checked the top speed on this, and the car will do the stated 157-ish, 158 miles per hour in 5th, and then obviously if you go to 6th, I'm guessing it will give you that extra speed. So that is something to bear in mind. So I'll see, I might end up using the 6th gear despite the fact that I do not think it should have a 6th gear. Also, it revs up to 7,000 RPM and then just stops very suddenly. So I'm a little bit curious about the... Ooh, that was dangerous. Pushed it just a little too far there. So I'm a little bit curious about that as well. And the last thing to note that I found on this car is that it seems to... the nose of the car seems to pitch down very, very suddenly, and that's a little bit concerning because the back of the car goes incredibly loose incredibly quickly, which is something that I'm fairly sure the real car does not do. So it feels like the front suspension is a little bit too... it's a little bit too, well, soft, as you can also see, where it just crashes into the ground very quickly. But yeah, the car is proving to be somewhat difficult to drive because of the suspension geometry. It isn't a car that's giving me confidence. Now, perhaps the real car is just like this, but I honestly doubt that. That being said, the car still feels fairly quick. Just very well. There's the understeer I was talking about. Just, as I said, just very wallowy. Yes, that is the term I'm going to use. This car feels wallowy. That's the exact term that I need for this car. And that is not a good thing. I was expecting a lot more from this vehicle, I'll be honest. A lot more. Nevertheless, I am going to do my utmost to get a good lap time out of this car, because that is what I do. Crashing around on the curbs is not going to help. See, just even through these corners, it just does not feel like it's going to be... I'm not sure, it just does not feel composed. Every corner just feels like it is... the car is just not going to bite under braking at all. Third is what I needed there, not second. It's fine. Now, once the car is accelerating, not a problem. It feels fine. I'm not sure if it feels like the 326 horsepower that this is supposed to have. This might be the 284 horsepower, whatever it is, with the turbo, but I'm not entirely sure. The reason I also say that is because it is actually it could be a US spec. I was going to say it is a Japanese spec car. No, it is a Japanese spec because it is on the right hand side. It isn't a British spec. We had a little bonnet scoop on our cars, and I know that because I know somebody who had a Supra, and it had a little bonnet scoop on the front. Looked lovely in black. So yes, so I know what the British Supra looks like, and I know the British Supra had 320 plus bhp. So I'm just wondering whether this is the US Supra, or sorry, not US, JDM Supra, which for some reason was the one that had less power. Oh gosh, there's more understeer. It's really, really weird. It's almost like, in a way, this feels like this feels like, which car? The Audi Quattro, in which, you know, it feels like they've messed something up on the car, and it just is crashing around horribly. But still, as I said, I am trying. I should also point out it's been a very long time since I've done any driving, both real life and in games or sims. Last time I drove would be from this video coming out, which is it's only being recorded a couple of days before it's coming out. From the video coming out, it has been 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks since I've done any driving, roughly, and that's real life. And it has been, when was the last time I recorded anything in Gran Turismo? Because that was the last thing I recorded. I'll have to have a look. It may have been nearly 3 weeks for that. So that is how long I have not been. See, that's now at the limiter already. Braking through this corner is a bit of a pain still, especially when you're not confident about your driving ability here. Now it says that we're looking for an 8 minutes 38, which seems incredibly slow. Now admittedly, I am struggling to push a car at the moment, due to, let's say, ill health, but I didn't think I'm struggling that much. So let's find out. Let's see what happens at the end of this first lap. So again, this thing it says 6 gears for some bizarre reason. I have no idea. So we put it into 6, it is now accelerating beyond 150 miles per hour. But I'm not sure. This does not seem like a gear that is supposed to exist on this car. Right. Now, I'm not very confident on this car, but I'll try. Whoa. How does the car crash right there? That's weird. Eight minutes 30. That is really, really poor. Right, let's try and push that a little. 8:26 is the Skyline. I was expecting this car to be 10 seconds faster than it is. See, just the slightest touch, the absolute slightest touch on a curb, and the car just does not settle. It's so softly sprung that there's no chance of this car settling. But I'm really, really going to give this a go. As I always do anyway. But this should give me some... There we go. Touched the curb as well, or touched the grass, should I say. There was no curb there. But really trying here. Now, anybody else who's tried this car, perhaps you could give me a little bit of potential insight. Is this right for this car? It certainly doesn't feel it. This does not feel like a sports car in any which way. It just feels, as I said, wallowy is the term I would like to describe this car. The suspension is so soft. Unbelievably soft, really. The brakes are incredibly sharp though, I will give it that. I'll definitely give it very sharp brakes. And as usual, I am on the street tyres with no traction control. Apparently this car has traction control. I didn't think it did, but there we go. Must be a very early form of traction control, whatever it is. Come on, turn! It's a boat! It's an actual boat. Like the amount you have to turn the wheel. And it's not like I'm going incredibly fast. I would expect this car to be able to handle such speeds without too much of an issue. It just does not. Like, what struggles at 30 miles per hour through that corner just because its suspension's pushing it out so much? I am 2 seconds up though, which is really good. Can I turn this in a little bit sharper? Maybe not. That was actually really not. That was far from ideal. Come on. That area was compromised. That has cost me, surprisingly, only 0.2 of a second, if that. So it wasn't as bad as I had thought. Try and hold it only in third here. Come on. No, it just does not. That is going to cost me a lot more. But nevertheless, I'm still getting nowhere near the... I mean, can I challenge the Skyline? The R34, that is, I suppose, what my target now is challenge the Skyline. Do I have hope for this? I would need to do a perfect lap to either that or the FD is just insanely fast, overpowered, and this is more realistic. Nevertheless, it just does not... The car does not seem enjoyable to drive. It really does not feel right. As I said, the slightest bumps, just... The car is so... soft. Again, I'll keep using that word, wallowy. That is the perfect description of this car. Let's try and carry a little bit more speed through this. There we go. And then try and get a little bit early on the brakes for a little bit tighter turn in there, which is pretty good. And then through there, that was pretty good too. Try and turn the car a little bit more through that. Not so good. And I'll just hold third through all of this, I think. As I do not see it. There we go. I think third does work. Touch that bit, slam on the brakes there. turn in, because this is always a part that I'm starting to, I will give Gran Turismo some credit, I'm starting to get better at this section, particularly that corner just gone because of Gran Turismo, and the amount I had to do it in a license test. Which license test was it? I think it was the International A final license at the Nurburgring, and you have to do this section. So yeah, some credit for Gran Turismo there. Obviously I would say I am but I have played a lot of Gran Turismo. I wouldn't class myself as a fan to say I've never played Gran Turismo Sports, or say never played. I think I played it for all of half an hour as a demo or something. But I do have the older Gran Turismos, and I have played them a lot, and Gran Turismo is obviously what got me started in all of this in the first place. So I do like Gran Turismo, but it has problems. It really, really has problems. .128.5 is what we're looking at here. It's not. It is just. Do I want to do one more lap with this? I think I will try. I will try one more lap with this car. But as I said, where I think I can push other cars a lot faster, this car's just not having it. And what I'm tempted to do is I am tempted to just get behind the wheel of another car straight after this and just throw it around a car that's I've already taken out and see how close I can get immediately to the lap time I set, as a, you know, sort of a curiosity thing. Really trying here to maximize the braking potential of the car. .27.6, I mean that's about a second off the Skyline, so it isn't like it's not impossible to beat the Skyline. There is, I will say that it is not impossible to beat the Skyline. I just need to get this all perfectly right, which is, that's the difficult part, is getting all of this perfectly right. So last lap, let's hope I do not bin it. Normally, if you watch my videos, you'll know that usually once I've done 2 laps, the 3rd lap is going to be the disaster lap. At some point during the lap I will have pushed just a little too hard, and that's it, it's gone. That could have been a disaster. That has cost me some time though, I do know that. It's just a matter of how much time. Close as I could cut it to the inside there. Come on. Okay, slightly better exit. Not the cleanest of, to be honest, not the cleanest of runs. Again, one thing I've noticed about this car, it does like being very high in the rev range all the time. That just seems to be a characteristic of this car, which is actually seems fairly realistic. I have seen, you know, people run these cars and they're constantly high up in the rev range, so that does make sense. This car just does not seem to fall below 4,500, it seems, unless I'm really doing something silly. It's nice and tight on that. There we go. Okay, getting somewhere. Definitely getting somewhere. Just, I think I'm finding that you really have to push this car into corners. It's a car that seems to... I understand that, you know, the car's good for drifting. I get that. But it just feels like this car is not supposed to be drifting, or this car has to be treated like a drift car even when it isn't designed for drifting. This is a sports car at this point in time with this configuration, not a drift car. But yes, it seems to be handling sort of half and half, like it wants to try and be both. Come on car. So it understeers quite a bit because of the soft suspension, but at the same time, when you push the car into perhaps some sort of I don't know, you can get the car to start oversteering if you just throw the car around corners a little. Now, how much time do I think have I lost on this lap compared to what I could do at my best? Okay, changing gear around that corner is difficult. I think if I had strung together with my current speed and my current experience with this car, had I fixed up a few things, I would be at around the... Oh, that was close. I would be another second up, so at the moment it looks like a 26.7. It should be in the 25s, I think, but there's still some time to go. So you never know. For example, that was a pretty good carousel. And I think I've got some additional time to gain here. There it is. Again, just trying my best. I've learnt turn the car in a little bit earlier than you think, and perhaps it will grip. Okay, maybe not there. I say that, and immediate curse of the commentator. It just does not do what you want it to do in the slightest. But that's that for you. This is the part I know I'm improving on this. I know I'm getting better, but it still feels wrong. YouTube corner. Somebody told me this actually does have a name, this corner. I have no idea what it is. I do apologise. And third gear through all of that. Okay, I've missed a few apexes. Apexes? Apices? Possibly. That's an interesting question that I need to now answer. Apexes. What's the plural of apex? Is it apexes or apices? Very interesting question. I think it's apexes, but... Okay, now I feel like there's something wrong with the car. As I went over that curb, I feel like I've broken the suspension. I can feel it in the wheel. What on earth is going on? Like, I can feel drag off one tyre. Something very, very strange is happening here. Very, very strange. But there we go. This is going to be the last lap. I just have to try and recreate the whole... I've got to try and recreate the whole end of the lap that I did earlier. Yeah, there's something going on with the wheel. Now we're about a second and no, just over a second off the NSX-R, so this is, it looks like this is going to fit into 21st place. Not where I was expecting. I was expecting a lot more from this car. As long as I do not mess up just here, we should be okay. Just gentle braking. See there, why does the car just sort of bite? Or just crash into the ground, should I say. 25.83. There you go. Alright, and that is that. Let's go ahead and bring up the leaderboard. With the 25.83, that takes it into 21st place, just ahead of the Nissan Skyline. However, it does fall short, as I said on the previous page. In 20th position is the Honda NSX-R. So it does fall short of that, sadly. I'm not sure what else to say about this car. It's, I suppose it has performed speed-wise where I would expect, except it took me a lot of effort to get the car to that point where I feel like I've only got another second or two in it maximum. And in the Skyline, I know I had a lot more time in it, so there is that. And when the Skyline comes for a redux, we could see some sort of surprise. Not entirely sure on that. So there we go, that is that done. So now we have to think about the drivers. Now this is where I'm going to have to rate this not that well, I'm afraid, at least from what I'm feeling right now. It's nice when it's on power, but aside from that, as I said, the wallowy feel of the car just is not a nice feeling. It isn't in last place, that is for sure, but what I'm expecting from this is, or what I was expecting, what I got were two different things. So I'm going to place this around another car that I was expecting a lot more from and I did not get, and that is the Nissan 370Z Nismo. So this one is going to go, I think this is a little bit worse than that Nismo, at least in Assetto Corsa. In real life it probably isn't. So I'm going to pop this car in 28th place, ahead of the Audi S1, but behind the Nissan 370Z Nismo. And with that, I'm going to end this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa and the Nordschleife challenge. This series has not gone away. I'm just incredibly busy at the moment. If you can do so, please do consider supporting me on Patreon at www.patreon.com/ECGadget. Your supports would be massively appreciated. It would really help me out. And also, you can find me on social media at ECGadget LP for both Twitter and Instagram. That is all from me, and I'll see you next time in more Understeer Central in Assetto Corsa, where I think it might be time to take out an Impreza. I'll see you next time.